Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to Canada, the Advanced Racing Analysis. And today I'm going to talk about Nico Hülkenberg. So Nico Hülkenberg is an interesting dropout from Formula One because of what he has achieved in the series. He has won a record of having pretty much this is a record that you have to achieve while not wanting to achieve it, because no one wants to achieve this record, but he has achieved it. So this is the record for having the most races without a single podium. He stands at 177 races, and every race he races, he just without a podium, he keeps extending that record. Nico Hülkenberg came into Formula One with one of the most regarded junior career ever. Only Lewis Hamilton this side of, let's say, 2007 has had such a glittering junior career. So right now I will go into Nico Hülkenberg's junior career and highlight some of his accomplishments. 2005 he was first in Formula BMW, and he beat Sergio Perez, who was 14th, and he beat Sebastian Buemi, who was second. So Sergio Perez was 14th at this time, and that was Nico Hülkenberg's first year in Formula BMW. In 2007 and going into 2006, he was first in A1 Grand Prix season, and that was Willy Weber's team. So because Willy Weber had the franchise for the A1 team Germany at the time, so Willy Weber then became Nico Hülkenberg's manager. So and Willy Weber at the time was also Michael Schumacher's manager and Timo Glock's manager. So very much a lot of aspiring F1 drivers from Germany. Willy Weber was their manager, and the big fish he had in that pond was Michael Schumacher. In 2007, he was third in Formula 3 behind Romain Grosjean and Sebastian Buemi. In 2008, he finally won Formula 3, and he was first. In 2009, he was champion in GP2, and he beat his teammate Pastor Maldonado, who came in sixth, and Sergio Perez was 12th. And in 2015, this is actually his biggest career achievement. He won Le Mans in 2015. He won Le Mans overall in LMP1 with Porsche. I'm going to go through some of his career moves and where there could have been an opportunity for him to make a breakthrough. In 2007, his manager, Nico Hülkenberg's manager, Willy Weber, got him a test with Williams Grand Prix. After that test, he did pretty good, and the following year, he became their test driver. So at that time, in-season testing was not disallowed, so he had plenty of testing. So he was the test driver in 2008, and 2009 he became the test and reserve driver in 2009. 2009, as you like I already say, he won GP2, and when he won GP2 in 2010, he became their driver, and he came to the team along with Rubens Barrichello. But Rubens Barrichello, who had just lost the championship to Jenson Button in 2009 and finished third in the championship, beat him. So Nico Hülkenberg coming into Formula One with this glittering junior career, and everybody expecting him to maybe become a driver on par with Lewis Hamilton, was beaten by an aging driver who was beat to the championship by a driver everybody thought was a party animal. So Ruben Barrichello beat him 47-22, and Ruben Barrichello, when given a car and almost equal status with Jenson Button in 2009, could not win the championship. Barrichello beating him kind of put the idea into everybody's minds that this guy is not the next big thing. So had he beaten Barrichello convincingly, his career could have been different. So once he was beat by Barrichello, Frank Williams, who was running the team at the time, knew that, okay, this is not the next big thing. So pretty much my team is not performing. I'm just going to take in the driver with the biggest check, and that was it. So even though Nico Hülkenberg had beaten Pastor Maldonado in GP2 when they were teammates, Hülkenberg was first in his first year, and Maldonado was sixth. So they were both in GP2. Hulkenberg came same team. Hulkenberg was number 1. Maldonado was number 6. So that shows the big gap between those two drivers. So even though Hulkenberg was clearly better, and Maldonado had to stay in another year in GP2 and finally win it in 2010 before he came to Formula One. Pastor Maldonado was chosen to replace Nico Hukenberg in Formula One because he will bring in a big check from Venezuela, so from his home country, because his country was supporting drivers all over the world at that time. So they were supporting drivers in Formula One, and they was supporting drivers in IndyCar at the time. So the good thing for him is that at the time he was still with Willie Weber, his manager. So he became a test driver for Force India in 2011. But in 2010, while he was being frustrated with the Williams, one of the drivers he was being compared with in 2000, he was looking up to while growing up during his childhood, in his junior career, was Sebastian Vettel. So Sebastian Vettel had won the 2010 championship in dramatic fashion. In my opinion, when Nico Hülkenberg knew that Sebastian Vettel was dealing on his own with Red Bull and was winning championships, he figured, I could do this better than my agent. Here I am, with this junior career. I've been first in everywhere I've been, and now I'm a test driver. Only a test driver, and I don't know what's next. So I need to do things on my own because this guy has me being a test driver. So in 2011, he broke away from Will Weber. So in my opinion, that was a mistake because Sebastian Vettel could deal with his own matters, his own contract matters, and his own management, because Sebastian Vettel was with an organization that had 4 seats in the entire racing world that everybody wanted. So Red Bull owned 4 of the most desirable seats in the entire racing world, and he had just won a championship with that organization. So that organization is loyal to those who perform for it. So Red Bull is loyal to any driver who performs well for it. So he could afford to deal with his entire own management because Red Bull is going to want the best for him, because as long as he's performing for them, they will not want to cheat him out of anything, because he was pretty much part of the organization. He's pretty much part of the furniture at Red Bull. So that was the difference with Nico Hülkenberg. He didn't have such an organization. The closest thing he had to such an organization was Willie Weber, and Willie Weber at the time was still powerful because of Michael Schumacher, and Michael Schumacher had just came into Formula One. So that made Willie Weber, even though Michael Schumacher was not the same driver that came back to Formula One, but Schumacher's name alone still brought Willie Weber so much clout. In 2012, after Adrian Sutil had legal issues, he was dropped by Force India, and Force India signed Nico Hülkenberg in his place. So Nico Hülkenberg beat Paul di Resta at the time, who was a Mercedes driver, and he beat Nico Hülkenberg beat him 63-46. So mind you that when he beat Paul di Resta was being groomed to possibly replace Michael Schumacher at Mercedes. Paul di Resta had just lost against Adrian Sutil. The top team was looking at Adrian Sutil, and then Nico Hülkenberg signed to take Adrian Sutil's race seat, and he also beat Paul di Resta. So that was clear from then on to Mercedes that Paul di Resta was not the next big thing. But once he beat him, I think personally that was an other opportunity missed. But the only thing is that to catch those opportunities, there needs to be a lot of wheeling and dealing, a lot of handshaking, maybe even backroom deals. And the person that was good at that was Willie Weber. Willie Weber could have done all that wheeling and dealing for him while he focused on just racing. But he took another path. So in 2012, he signed with Sauber, hoping to replicate Sergio Perez's success, because Sergio Perez had just finished his stint with Sauber and had 3 podiums, and that car was very good. He even almost won a race. So he moved to Sauber, and they were also eager to have him because of his junior record, but it didn't work out. Well, it did work out. He had a very good season, and he beat his teammate 51-6. So his teammate at the time was Esteban Gutierrez, and he completely crushed him. I'm sure he expected podiums, and I'm sure Sauber also expected podiums. So they never had any podiums, and it was the same regulations from 2012 to 2013, and the same exact regulations, and they had and the team was very well. At the time, the Sauber was a very good car, but he never had any podiums. When he moved back to Force India in 2014, I believe that was also another opportunity. Okay, this is assuming he kept Willy Webber. Mercedes was about to supply Williams in 2014 with Formula One engines. Maybe Mercedes, if he had become the junior driver, they could have moved them to Williams instead of Williams signing Felipe Massa. If his agent, Willy Webber, if he had kept him, was able to get him to be a Mercedes driver, which he could have, I believe he could have, because at the time, Michael Schumacher was at Mercedes. All Willy Webber had to do was talk to Michael Schumacher and say, "Can you please talk to Ross Brawn or Toto Wolff to see if Nico Hukenberg could become one of the Mercedes drivers?" I believe that definitely could have happened. Ross Brawn was still at Mercedes, and Ross Brawn and Michael Schumacher, those two were a pair. I mean, they had so much success together, so it's unlikely Ross Brawn would have said no. Toto Wolff was there, but he was just coming on board, and Lewis Hamilton had just came on board in 2013 as well. But they still would have wanted to have a driver to be in Formula One, just in case. But he didn't have Willy Webber. The 2014 Williams was a very good car. It started the season as the second best car, and it finished as the third best car because Red Bull improved so much, so it bumped Williams down to the third best car. Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas both had podium. Bottas had 6 podiums in 2014. So had Nico Hukenberg been in that car, that would have been a chance for him to prove himself. So that would have been a proper chance. In 2016, when Nico Rosberg retired, Mercedes, chances are, would have picked the better of those two drivers to replace Nico Rosberg alongside Lewis Hamilton. They picked Valtteri Bottas because that was that's the driver Toto manages. But if, let's say, Mercedes had their own driver also and well experienced in Williams at the time, they might have picked their own driver. They might have picked their own experienced driver, especially if Nico Rosberg had beat Bottas in both years. Mercedes had also Esteban Ocon and Pascal Wehrlein, but they didn't think those drivers were experienced enough. In my opinion, his career could have been better. Hindsight is 2020, so you can always look back and say, I could have done this, I could have done that, and that's in everybody's life, even my life, your life. So everybody could have done that, but I guess you just got to make your decisions and live with them. I think keeping Willy Webber in 2011 instead of dropping Willy Webber, realizing that Vettel was not managing his affairs by himself because Red Bull was handling all that for him. Alright, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you understand. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments. So please like and subscribe, and thanks a lot for visiting. Thank you.